Let me take a moment and talk about Riverside.fm. It allows you to record studio quality audio and up to 4K video. When you need to record audio and video, Riverside.fm can do it. So if you're looking for a hero platform for all your recording needs, from podcasts to webinars to any video content, Riverside.fm. I've got a promo code for you where you'll receive a 30% discount on the first 3 months of your subscription. I'll give it to you twice. The promo code is SHIPIT. All one word, SHIPIT, and you'll pick up a 30% discount on your first 3 months of your subscription. Riverside.fm.
In this Best of the Pigskin Dispatch episode of the Football History Headlines, we discuss the founding of the Canadian Football League and the day that the Tuck Rule was played, as well as many more Hall of Fame legendary stories and birthdays, all coming up for you in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with pigskindispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com, and I'm going to welcome you once again into the Big Pen as we talk about the football history headlines of January 19th. Let's get right at it and start off on January 19th, 1952. The NFL took control of the New York Yanks, according to a story on a profootballtalk.NBCsports.com. The Yanks, who really got their league start in 1945 with the Brooklyn team, reassembled the Yanks franchise that left the NFL in the mid-1940s and went to the All-America Football Conference. They played as the AAFC's Boston Yanks for 3 seasons from 1946 through 1948. In 1949, the franchise changed homes again and returned to the Big Apple and became the New York Bulldogs and played at the Polo Grounds along with the New York Giants. The 1950 season had the Bulldogs change their name back to the Yanks. Later in 52, the NFL purchased the Yanks from owner Ted Collins. The franchise then moved to Dallas for the upcoming season, and the club donned the Texans moniker. It was not a good move, as the team was not very good and fan support in Dallas area was not very strong. The team struggled, losing 11 of 12 games. By the season's end, the league was running the team and had moved the headquarters to Hershey, Pennsylvania. In the end, the Texans finally folded operations, and as we discussed in the January 18th edition of the Football History Headlines, they eventually morphed into the second rendition of the Baltimore Colts. January 19th, 1958. The Canadian Football League is officially founded. According to an article on a CFL-HOF.ca, the league is the highest level of competition for the professional football in Canada. January 19th, 1964, Balboa Stadium in San Diego, California. The third annual AFL All-Star Game resulted in the Western Division outlasting the Eastern Division by a close score of 27-24. The most valuable players were LA Chargers rushing weapon Keith Lincoln and Archie Matsos, the linebacker of the Oakland Raiders franchise, per the HonestDay.com website. January 19th, 1969. At the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, the 8th AFL All-Star Game had a change of venue. In the game, it was the Western Division Stars who vanquished their Eastern Division rivals 38-25. According to the RememberTheAFL.com website, the MVPs were Len Dawson, the great quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Houston Oilers linebacker George Webster. This game took place 1 week after the AFL had possibly its greatest triumph ever when the Jets defeated the Colts in what later would become known as Super Bowl III. Speaking about star players, January 19th, 1969, at the LA Memorial Coliseum, the 19th NFL Pro Bowl had the West edging out the East 10-7 per the HonestDay.com web pages. The most valuable players were appropriately for the home crowd, both Los Angeles Rams. Defensive tackle Merlin Olsen and quarterback Roman Gabriel took home the honors. January 19th, 2002, the Tuck Rule game, or the AFC Divisional Playoff game, where, with less than 2 minutes to play in regulation, the New England Patriots were trailing the Oakland Raiders 13-10 in a driving snowstorm. The American Football Database says that the Patriots drove the ball down the field, and while they were still slightly out of field goal range, Brady dropped back to pass. Then he was hit by a blitzing Charles Woodson of the Raiders, jarring the ball out of Brady's hand. Raiders linebacker Greg Burkhardt dove onto the ball and was initially credited with a recovered fumble. The on-field officials ruled it was a fumble, but after instant replay reviewed the play, that call was overturned, and the rule was it was an incomplete pass. They said that Brady's arm was moving forward. The Patriots tied the game on a field goal a few moments later, and then won the game in overtime, 16-13. Now we have some OnThisDay.com Conference Championship scoreboard. January 19, 2003, Network Associates Coliseum in Oakland. The Oakland Raiders beat the Tennessee Titans 41-24 in the AFC Championship game. That same day, the NFC Championship game in 2003 was at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Philadelphia Eagles 27-10. Now we have the conference championships from 2014, and they were both played on January 19th. First, at Mile High Stadium in Denver, the AFC Championship game, the Broncos knocked off the New England Patriots 26-16 to advance to the Super Bowl. On the other side of the country at CenturyLink Field in Seattle, the Seattle Seahawks outlasted the San Francisco 49ers by the score of 23-17 in the NFC Championship. Now for the 2020 Conference Championships, both played on January 19th. Levi Stadium, Santa Clara, California. The results of the NFC Championship game was that the San Francisco 49ers thwarted the Green Bay Packers 37-20. Then at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, the AFC Championship game for the 2019 season found the Kansas City Chiefs defeating the Tennessee Titans 35-24 to move on. Now let's take a quick break from our headlines, and let me remind you can learn more about gridiron history on our website, pigskindispatch.com. And you can contact me, Darren Hayes, at pigskindispatch@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Speaking of hearing from someone who's here, is one of my podcasting partners from the sportshistorynetwork.com that has a message just for you.
Hi, this is John Gidley. Join me each Friday for a trip into the football attic, where I'll delve into forgotten but noteworthy stories of the National Football League. You're bound to learn something new or have your memory jogged each week. That's every Friday, only on the Sports History Network and wherever podcasts are available.
Now that's definitely a podcast worth checking out. Now let's talk about some Hall of Fame birthdays for this January 19th, and we'll go all the way back to 1892 in Natick, Massachusetts. The tough Harvard fullback Eddie Mahan was born. The NFF in its website bio of Mahan says that the fullback played a major part in Yale University's worst loss in its first 44 seasons of playing football. Eddie Mahan of Harvard was amazed the Bulldog defense, scoring 4 touchdowns and added 5 conversion points via kick as the Crimson handed Yale its lunch by the score of 41-0. Eddie spent 3 straight seasons atop Walter Camp's All-America list. The National Football Foundation selected the College Football Hall of Fame for Eddie Mahan in 1951. January 19th, 1932, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Joe Schmidt, the swift linebacker from the University of Pittsburgh, arrived in this life. The footballfoundation.org website says that going into the October 1952 game, that Pitt had lost 8 straight seasons to the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. As captain of the team, Joe asked for a player-only meeting 5 minutes prior to taking the field. That's when Joe Schmidt took the locker room floor and he made a rousing speech. He told his teammates that they must win this game. The talk must have inspired the team as they knocked off Notre Dame 22-19. The International News Service named Joe as an All-America linebacker. The NFF selected Joe Schmidt to enter into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1971. After college, Joe played with the Detroit Lions. In his 13 seasons in the NFL, Schmidt was an All-Pro linebacker 8 times and went to 10 straight Pro Bowls and registered 24 interceptions in his career, all with Detroit. Joe Schmidt was enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1973. January 19th, 1947, Shelbyville, Indiana. Purdue's former quarterback Mike Phipps was born. The footballfoundation.org website bio of Phipps says that in just his second game after taking over for a graduating Bob Greasy, his picture was put on the cover of Sports Illustrated as he threw for 2 scores over top-ranked Notre Dame. In his junior season, he guided the Boilermakers to a win over Notre Dame in a number 1 versus number 2 matchup. As a senior, he became a unanimous All-American selection and the runner-up in the Heisman Trophy race. The National Football Foundation in 2006 selected Mike Phipps to be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. After graduation, Phipps was drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the first round of the NFL draft as a third overall selection. He played for 12 seasons with the Browns and the Chicago Bears. January 19th, 1969, San Diego, California. Junior Seau, the outstanding linebacker from Southern Cal, was received into this world. Seau played an amazing 20 seasons in the NFL, and he was first drafted in the first round by his hometown San Diego Chargers in 1990, according to his bio on the Pro Football Hall of Fame. In 1992, he was voted as a Defensive Player of the Year of the NFL. Junior was an All-Pro 8 times and played in 12 Pro Bowls. In 1994, he led the Chargers to their first and only Super Bowl appearance. Later on in his career, he played with the New England Patriots, including a couple Super Bowls. Junior Seau was enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the year 2015. January 19th, 1974, Aliceville, Alabama. The great Florida State offensive tackle Walter Jones celebrated his birth. Walter was chosen in the 1997 NFL Draft as a sixth player taken overall by the Seattle Seahawks. Per the ProFootballHOF.com, Jones played 12 seasons and made it to the Pro Bowl 9 times, all with Seattle. Walter Jones in 2014 had his football legacy placed into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. We'd like to thank you ever so kindly for joining us once again on these football history headlines and birthdays of legends of Hall of Fame for this January 19th edition. Make sure you join us tomorrow for January 20th because we have another great show in store for you. Make sure you don't miss the second that it's released. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast, either on this podcast player that you're doing right now, you're listening to it on, or your favorite podcast provider. You can also email us at pigskinddispatch@gmail.com, and we'll send you an email every day so you get the podcast and the accompanying articles that come out on pigskinddispatch.com. Another place to find this podcast is on the sportshistorynetwork.com, where we have some other great podcasts with great podcast celebrities that do some excellent sports history podcasts and have some very good guests that you'll enjoy. And make sure you check that out, sportshistorynetwork.com. Peeking up at the clock, the time's running down. We're going to go into victory formation, take a knee, and let this baby run out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow for the next podcast. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. A special thanks to the talents of Mike and Jean Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
It was just another ordinary day in the offices of the Pittsburgh Guardian newspaper circa 1924. But for Marla Delft, assistant editor, everything was about to change. For she was about to discover the awesome attractiveness of Row 1 brand retro sports paraphernalia items thanks to Orville Mulligan, sports writer.
And there it is.
Wow, Orville, that's really the bee's knees.
Isn't it just? A poster-sized replica of the actual 1909 World Series program cover.
I can see that. But where did you get it? And where'd you get it framed?
I ordered it from the Row 1 website, where over 6,000 items of sports memorabilia from the 1880s to the 1990s are available for reproduction, in multiple sizes and in several different materials, with over a dozen styles of frame to choose from for prints like this.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Delft would love to put up more of these in the office. But I'm equally as sure they're beyond this newspaper's budget.
Not at all, my dear Marla. See for yourself. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. Oh my, these are good prices. Oh, and look at this stuff. Oklahoma-Nebraska football, college basketball art, Michael Jordan items.
And so it
Retro
was that
sports
Marla Delft
advertisement
discovered the
classics.
splendiferous magic of Row 1 sports memorabilia, arts, and prints. You can too by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/Row1. That's ROW1 today for access to the full Row 1 catalog of gallery prints and gifts like t-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, telephone cases, coffee mugs, blankets, pillows, towels, and even shower curtains. Act today for 15% discount off all prints with coupon code SHN15 and 20% off all other items with coupon code SHN20 at checkout. And keep your dial locked to the Sports History Network for the exciting chronicles of the 1920 sports world in Orville Mulligan, Sports Writer. Coming soon.
Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/Row1 and save 15% off your order.